Tom Brady had nothing to say about the situation. Tom Brady has ducked the media ever since this came out. He's done one training camp press conference. Now, I don't know this for sure, but I've heard some chatter that we're not going to hear from him again until week 1 of the regular season, when he's required to do a midseason press conference. And then post-game, every player has to be available. High-profile players have to be available in a press conference setting. All other players have to be available in an open locker room once a week. And then after the game, everybody is fair game. And some players will do a press conference after the game. He's not doing anything. And I've heard that, like NFL Network, they're doing that training camp. They're everywhere. He said no. I heard Sirius yesterday was trying to get him. Don't know whether or not it was successful. He's got that Let's Go podcast that's a Sirius XM production. I think he is trying to avoid being in any position where he's asked a single question about this, hopeful that when he's finally available, it's going to be about getting ready for the Cowboys, and that's all he's going to be asked about. And he's not going to, or if he does get a question about it, he's going to be able to say, well, I'm really focused on the Cowboys right now. If you successfully avoid having to talk to anybody and answer questions about the stuff when it was relevant, and you wait long enough, you can say, well, I'm just focused on the Cowboys right now.
Yeah, that's what he said.
And I bet that's what he'll say.
I agree. He's just, oh, that was last year. I'm really not focused on it. He's going to, the Bill Belichick hits, basically. That's what he's going to do. He'll revert to his New England robot ways. And, again, I'm not going to be mad at him for it. I'm not. That's the, one thing I don't always love about him is that he doesn't, isn't forthright all the time with that type of stuff, but I'm not going to be mad. I understand. He doesn't want to make it any more of a story. He does want to focus. I know that. We all know that. He wants to focus on football, and he wants the Bucs to be the best. And if that means he's got to look a little weird by dodging the media, he'll do that. And, I'm not going to hate on him for that.
It would be nice, though.
It would be nice, I know.
Point. And hopefully when he does have a press conference, look, I know it's difficult for the folks who cover the Buccaneers, because if you start antagonizing the Buccaneers, they will retaliate. Plenty of teams will do that. You'll have limited access. You try to get, hey, can I get 5 minutes with the coach? Sorry, he's not available. I mean, if you piss them off, they will find ways to get back at you. And I'm not saying Buccaneers specifically, it's a broader dynamic. And if you cover the team for a living, if you push far enough, all of a sudden you're of no use to your publication. If you can get no one on the phone, if you can get interviews with no one on the team, if they're all treating you like a pariah, you may as well tap out of the beat because you can't do the job. So those are the people who are going to be asking him questions the next time he's available. So by definition, they're in a tough spot. And rarely do you have someone who's going to stand up and push back in that setting. It's difficult. It's awkward. It's inherently delicate. And it's not a normal human interaction when you got a room full of people asking one question after another. But I hope someone will stand up and ask him some tough questions. How can you give the fans any assurances that you really wanted to be here this year? And I don't even know that that's a good question. I don't know. I'd want to sit down and think about it. But I want to hear Tom Brady have to talk about why he did what he did. I wanted to just acknowledge that he did it. I think that if he did it, we know he did it. The league found that the Dolphins did it as to him. That means he did it as to them, meaning he did want out of Tampa Bay. That his retirement wasn't a real retirement. It was an effort to quit the Buccaneers. That's what I'd like for him to admit. But then again, do we really need him to admit it? Because anybody who's been paying attention knows it.
Yeah, no, you're right. It would be cool. It would be cool, if he did admit it and went that way. Again, it's another one like Tua where I just feel like if you took it head on and was like, hey, I had an opportunity. My family, we were thinking about moving. We were going to move to Miami. We want to live there. I think if you kind of stated it that way, again, I don't think people would really question it all that much, or the criticism wouldn't be all that harsh, in my opinion, because we're not going to. We're never doubting Tom Brady isn't all in once he makes up his mind and figure that out. Yeah, okay, yeah, he flirted with the Dolphins and had something going there. There was a lot of reasons for that. Minority ownership, family moving there, all of those type of things that connected in life and sport that he wanted to make work. And again, I'm not going to be mad at him for that. And I don't think most people would be, because as soon as he signed back with the Bucs, the one thing I know of this is he's all in with the Bucs again. You don't have to question that with this man. So that's where I don't think
he wants Super Bowl number 8. He wants number 8.
Exactly. That's where I don't think it would be a story, sometimes. And sometimes I do think guys, avoiding these type of conversations make it a little bit bigger of a story than maybe it should be.
Sometimes it's just good to hear Jack Nicholson admit that he ordered the code red. Sometimes you just want, I'm serious.
I know.
Sometimes you just want the guy to say, okay, here's what happened. I'd had enough of Bruce Arians because he is not Bill Belichick, and I wanted to play with a coach who was more like Bill Belichick, an offensive mastermind whose teams were 4-0 against us in the regular season. And one of those games happened when he was out with COVID. That's how good of a coach he is. So I wanted to partner up with him because Bruce Arians is kind of semi-retired, and he just swoops in and tries to change aspects of the game plan late in the week. And it got old. I don't want that anymore. I'm too old to have to worry about that. So, yeah, hey, we got plans to build a house in Miami. It's not that far from our place in Costa Rica, and so I wanted to go play for the Dolphins. So what's wrong with that? I originally signed a 2-year contract. I did a 1-year extension for cap purposes. If I want out, they should let me go. And when it all blew up because Brian Flores filed his lawsuit and I had no other choice and the 49ers didn't want me, I tried to go out there and flirt with them again and they weren't interested. I decided I'll come back to the Buccaneers as long as Bruce Arians isn't the coach. I'd like to just see him admit that.
Yeah.
Because we kind of know that's how it went.
I know. I think it's one of the, if there's any negatives about Brady, that's one of them that's, that way a little bit. He's just not as, maybe as honest as an Aaron Rodgers is. Aaron Rodgers wasn't honest one time, and we were disappointed in the immunized thing because, Aaron Rodgers is usually the guy that he takes those things head on and he challenges you. And I think he was the right guy to kind of do that at that time. That's where I was disappointed in him a little bit. But, Brady's not that way. He kind of plays the political angle maybe a little bit more. But again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not, our favorite way to handle things, at least you and I.
But at least he didn't lie to us about when he got his next contract. At least he didn't lie about that.
Stop it.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.